Welcome to Digital Thread Bites, a workforce development podcast produced by Sinclair College and the Dayton Development Coalition in Dayton, Ohio. In this podcast, the team discusses the coming revolution in digital engineering, highlighting digital transformation success stories and opportunities for learning. Here are your hosts, Jennifer Gravitt and Elizabeth Generas.
Welcome to episode 11, season 2, episode 2, where we continue our discussion about the doers, the people that are actually making a difference in the digital realm for our Digital Thread Bites podcast. Today we have with us Matt Ross, Vice President of Operations at Killer Brownie. Anybody that grew up in Dayton knows Killer Brownie, but they're so much bigger today. So we're really excited to find out how they have gone through a digital transformation for growth to be bigger than just Dayton now. We're really excited to have you.
Yeah, welcome, Matt. Thank you so much for being here.
Excited to be here.
So for anyone maybe not from the Dayton region, tell us, what is a Killer Brownie? Where did it maybe come from, and what do you do here?
So the Killer Brownie originated with a local grocery store chain in Dayton, world-renowned, I might add, Dorothy Lane Market. So in the late 70s, early 80s, Norman Maine and his team came up with the Killer Brownie. The original is a triple layered brownie with caramel in the middle.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. They grew it there, mainly through box lunch program that they did.
Oh.
So it became really popular because they added it to the box lunches in the 80s and became very popular locally. They have friends in the grocery industry who saw the success they were having and wanted to buy the brownies. So in 2000, they set it up as a separate wholesale company from the retail location. It was still run as a department of the retail stores because it made sense. 10 years ago, Shemin Ross joined. She's one of the owners and part of the family. So she joined with the intent to grow Killer Brownie as a separate business. I joined 6 years ago, and we're now in about 10,000 locations across Canada, US, Puerto Rico, South America.
Oh, international.
That is far from Dayton.
That is. I'm also happy to say that we're now in first class on United. So if you get on an airplane in first class, you can have a Killer Brownie.
That's awesome. Also, can't leave out the fact that you are now newly the official brownie of
The Cincinnati Bengals.
That's right. That is exciting. It's so cool because they have an official everything. They should have an official brownie. Hello.
The NFL next, maybe.
That's right.
I like it.
That's awesome. And so your role here, you're the vice president?
So I'm vice president of operations. So it's my responsibility to make sure we can make the brownies and that the people making them have the tools and equipment they need to do it.
Well, and we did just go on a tour of the facility.
We did.
And
Bucket
it looks
list.
like, bucket list for us since we began this journey. And it does seem like a very well-oiled machine, although I know, it, like you said, you're not perfect. But it just looks and smells amazing.
I'm very fortunate to work with some extremely talented people, dedicated, that do a great job every day.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about, because we heard you speak about a year ago at Sinclair and talked about your digital transformation story. So if you can tell us and share with the audience a little bit about the Killer Brownie transformation story.
So when I joined 6 years ago, we were doing a lot of manual things. Hand scooping the batter into metal pans, taking the metal pans at 6 a.m. and banging them on metal tables to get the brownies out. So maybe it's selfish of me, but that's where I started.
Wow.
So we transitioned to a different type of baking pan. We were able to cut in that now, so it really streamlined efficiency. We were heat sealing the slabs manually. So that was the first piece of equipment we got, was an automatic heat sealer. It really was apparent, and the question we always ask ourselves, is it scalable? And what we were doing was not scalable to the level we're at now, and where we're only partway along the journey. So we have to add a lot more automation. not to take people's jobs, but to make people's jobs easier, more meaningful, and safer.
Right, right. And we got to see the robot that you've had for about a
Yeah,
year now.
first robot, Rosie.
Rosie the robot. That's great. And it's picking up the boxes and loading them on the pallets.
Yeah, so it's a palletizer. So that there were 2 people doing that every day. So those 2 people came further up the line, so we were able to increase throughput and save a backbreaking job.
Right, that's amazing. And also you've added people since you've automated.
So we've since we got our first robot, we've added 40 people since that first one. When I started 6 years ago, there were 8 of us. There's 130 now. So we will have close to 200 next year as we add another shift. So
We got a great tour, and we started the tour at the beginning with something called a Brownie Point wall, and then that led to your values, which are also prominently displayed on your wall. We've heard you talk about it before, but one of the most exciting things for us is the culture that is created around this. From 8 people to 130 in a relatively short amount of time. How did you support a culture where people want to come to work and where they really believe in what they're producing?
it really started with the ownership, with Shemin specifically, identifying the purpose of the business, the mission, and the vision. When we moved into this facility in March of 2020, we started the Brownie Points program, which is a really simple program where anyone on the team can recognize anyone else on the team for anything. There's some really heartfelt ones and there's some very comical ones. So,
Sure.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we get together once a month, all of us, and we'll read them to the group. From those, we started going through those to figure out what are the core values, because we didn't want to pick aspirational values of here's what we would like to be. Like, what are we really doing? What makes us unique? And so our core values came out of those. Love, joy, tenacity, creativity. We'll be announcing tomorrow to the whole team we're adding a 5th one, which is growth, which
awesome.
is really important, and it's who we are. Not only has the business grown, but individuals on the team have grown. We have, I think it's 35 people who've taken on more responsibility since they joined Killer Brownie, so taken on new roles and different things. So personal growth is a key to our success, and we live that every day.
That's great too, because people can come here and know that they have that ability if they're willing to work hard and learn new things. They know that they can grow here.
Yes.
We have talked to so many people that just really struggle with the culture.
It has to start with the leaders. I think I've worked for organizations, and probably all of us have, that have their purpose, vision, mission, core values, and it's on a piece of paper they give you that goes in a drawer, and you're judged by your performance on a spreadsheet, right?
Right.
Which is, I mean, there's businesses that operate successfully at that. That's one way to operate a business.
Right.
We've decided to do it a little differently. The purpose of the company is to nurture an environment where we all can reach our fullest potential. From that comes everything else. So if the ownership doesn't give that kind of guidance of this is why we own this business and this is why we continue to operate it, it fails.
So from that development, how many years ago did you develop the values?
So that was in 2019 that we came up with a purpose, vision, and mission, and then we went through those Brownie Points, and in 21, the early part of 2021, we declared our core values.
Okay, so only over a couple of years have you really had this in place. Have you found that it's helping your employees feel supported in nurturing the culture here?
Absolutely. I know I can speak for myself. I know I do. It's not the finish line when you define those things. It's really the beginning, because there's a lot of work that goes into living them and continuing to remind people of them. So as you saw on our tour, we have them posted. That is not maybe the best or the only way to do it. Every morning we have a huddle with different teams, and somebody in that huddle is assigned each day to recognize someone else in that huddle for a core value and a specific example of how they've lived it. There's all sorts of communication, our monthly meetings. During interviews, we have the sheet of core values and we go over them with people. We ask them which one resonates with them the most. We ask them which one would be the hardest for them. So it really helps us to hire the right people. It also helps us coach people as we go along. We think of discipline maybe a little differently than other people. It's not that we're having this discipline to line it up so we can legally fire somebody. It's really to get them back on track. Here's where we need you to be. And our core values help us do that.
Because everybody's not good at all of them.
No.
I mean, it's just the same way that people learn differently. You know, everybody has different personalities. So, but I like that. That's how I think you do nurture your staff, because they see that you really do care about how they process that culture.
Yeah.
And that's incredible.
And from top to bottom, from interview one, they're aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the one core value that I fought for the most, and we were working with a consultant, and he said, if you declare that as a core value, it's hard to live up to, and that's love. I always like to say it's not the way that Hollywood has kidnapped the word. It's like the genuine human love of you're going to help guide somebody.
Right.
And love, there's a lot of tough conversations that we have here, uncomfortable conversations, but it's to support people because, hey, I see you're not living up to your fullest potential. That's the purpose of this company. I'm going to give you some feedback to do that in a
loving way.
Loving way.
Right. It's like a healthy family dynamic. It really is. It's not, it's not like you just don't talk about these things until the day that you fire them and they're like, what? Or vice versa.
It makes for a much healthier culture for sure.
Well, to move on to the next question, and this question we've asked of every single guest on our podcast since the beginning, but with all of this going on, what keeps you up at night?
I think of Killer Brownie as a 30-year startup because it started 30 years ago, but the kind of growth we're experiencing is startup. So what keeps me up at night is, am I giving the team, the leaders on the team members, am I giving them the tools and the people and the facilities that they need to achieve this growth without burning themselves out or hurting themselves? That's really what keeps me up at night.
But that again is a testament to leadership that you show and the desire you have to really feed this good culture, and to keep it going. So
it's a lot of work to keep it going.
Yeah.
But, and like I've said before, I love working in this environment, but it's more than that. It's such smart business to have a good culture because you attract the right kind of people. They work together better. You retain people. People are happier when they are clear on the type of place they're working and that they fit into it, or they know they don't. And there's people that don't. We're not perfect, and we're not saying we're the only way to do business, but this is how we've decided to do business. And if it fits with who you want to be, it's a great ride to be on.
And they have applications available for anyone who would like to fill them out.
Absolutely.
It smells amazing here, so.
We need to hire about 70 more people, so please fill out applications.
Wow, that's incredible. Because you're adding another shift,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we already talked about this a little, but where a listener can find a Killer Brownie. So we know locally at our local store, on First Class and United, the Bengals game.
Yeah, where else? So you said you're shipping all over. Are there other chains that people would recognize even that they can pick up a Killer Brownie?
There are. There's Wegmans in the Northeast.
I'm from the Northeast.
They're a great fit for Killer Brownie.
Yes.
Great stores, great company. You can find, of course, you can go to DorothyLane.com and have them shipped wherever you want to have them shipped.
Well, that's nice. I didn't know they did that.
Dorothy Lane does all our online fulfillment.
Oh,
for us.
okay.
And then you can go to killerbrownie.com and click the Shop Local button and find a location near you.
That's awesome. And again, fill out an application.
Please.
If you're looking for a job with a very healthy and growing culture, this is incredible. And thank you for the tour.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for being on our podcast. I know people were really excited that we were coming here today. And we said, we've not forgotten about Matt Ross. We had to get to the use case part of this journey, and you were first on our list. So thank you very much.
I'm excited to do a future one with you with an update in a couple of years.
That would be
That sounds
fantastic.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Well, it'll be exciting. So thank you, Matt. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And stay tuned for episode 3 of season 2, which will come out in November.
Before we wrap up episode 2, we'd like to plug a couple of digital transformation events going on in the area. On Friday, October 20th, Sinclair College is hosting the Digital Thread Experience, with digital thread content for anyone with an interest in manufacturing, logistics, data, and cybersecurity. You can jump in at any time throughout the day. It'll be going on between 8 and 4, and you can find out more information on this event as well as register for it on Sinclair College's Workforce Development website under Solutions and then Digital Thread, and look for the Digital Thread Experience. Also, on October 30th through the 31st, the Ohio Defense and Aerospace Forum will be held at Wright State University. You can find out more about that event and get registered at ohiodefenseforum.org.
Thank you for listening. The hosts would like to thank Sinclair College, the Dayton Development Coalition, and our guests for exploring the digital thread. This material is based upon the work supported by Air Force Prime Contract number F48650-16-D-5524. Manufacturing and Industrial Technologies MITS, Task Order J, Regional Fabrication and Certification Training Labs, an Air Force Mantech project managed by Arctos Technology Solutions. Any opinions, findings and conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this material are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Air Force or Arctos Technology Solutions.